everybody. We are the Non-Prophets, crashing through the rainforests of Costa Rica to bring you our show this week. This show is brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin. I'm your host, Jeff D. My co-hosts are Mary Mcmanamee. Hi. Vic Farrow.
Ow. Okay, hi.
And our producer, once again, is Russell Glasser. He's over there.
On the laptop.
Russell, where is he?
Yeah, he's got a backpack, laptop arrangement and stuff.
Oh, God.
How was our satellite link?
It seems to be up and running, but I had to go and climb some trees to get the stuff hooked up. All right.
Well, we'll leave you to it. Also today,
bird poop.
Huh?
Explain the bird poop.
Oh, good grief! You know, I have to say I'm not particularly enjoying this. I don't like being sweaty. I don't like. Have you seen the size of the mosquitoes they have down here?
Like sanitation trucks.
Oh, good grief! This is nowhere near as our Bora Bora trip the other week.
Yeah.
Today we have with us, also sweltering in the intense heat, is Ashley Perrien.
Good evening, everybody.
Co-host.
Trying to get a little closer to the mics here. I think it's getting a little bit in the way, so yeah. I'll try and crash through in a few
minutes. I think if we could just find a nice clearing where we can settle down, I think over there. Okay. Ashley, by the way, is the co-host of the Atheist Experience, which is the public access television show that is also brought to you by the Atheist Community of Austin, if you live in Austin. We're live September 21, 2002. The Atheist Community of Austin is a non-profit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We have weekly meetings Sunday mornings at the Hot Jumbo Bagel Shop at 307 West 5th Street at 10:30 a.m., except for the first Sunday of each month when we have our lecture series at 11 a.m. in the Longhorn Room of Fur's Cafeteria at North Cross Mall. Next lecture will be on October 6th on the subject of memetics. Yeah, boy. If you shop at Randall's, you can give them our nonprofit organization number 5158, and 1% of your purchase will be donated automatically to the Atheist Community of Austin. Godless Gamers meet Monday nights at 7 o'clock at Glasser Studios back in the States in Austin, Texas. And happy hours is at Antonio's near Highway 35 and 183 Thursday nights at 7:30. For more information, you can call our voicemail at area code 512-371-2911 or visit our website, www.atheist-community.org. Now, every time we do this show, there is a chat room session running in parallel on the Atheist Network, which is the fine organization that carries our broadcast. But their normal chat room appears to be down today. What you need to do if you want to join in on the chat is go to www.atheistnetwork.com, click on the chat link, but select the God is a Lie chat room. That's where the chat is taking place today. And you're going to have to register, apparently, if you want to be involved in that. Okay, so here we are. Thanks to Mary Mcmanamee for setting up the arrangements to get us down here.
Oh, you bet.
Well, you know, my bitching aside, it is kind of cool to do these remote broadcasts, but I think maybe next time we need to go someplace a little more air-conditioned.
It would help. You know, I think the mosquitoes around here think that off is some kind of perfume. Because it's just not doing anything.
I just don't. It's a good thing we have this netting over us.
Yeah.
Now, this past week, was it Tim's birthday?
Yes.
You guys celebrated?
Well, no, not yet. It's coming up.
But you had the celebration this past week.
No, it'll be this Wednesday is the movie.
This coming Wednesday?
Yes, this coming Wednesday.
That wasn't clear at all in your email.
I said that.
The date was in there.
The date is in there, yes. September 25th.
I might actually be able to make that.
Good.
Oh.
Well, I hope so.
Okay. So I won't ask you how the movie was.
Okay. Well, yeah, it has not happened yet.
Let's move on to something else. If you hear slurs, defamation, or discrimination against atheists or other non-believers in the U.S. media, you can report them to the National Atheist Ombuds by emailing ombuds@atheism.org. Send them as many details as possible and a news source where applicable. They will report incidents to participating national and local non-theist organizations who have agreed to distribute press releases regarding the reported subject matter. On November 2 of this year, that's a Saturday, Godless Americans will make history and march on Washington, D.C. The event will be held on the National Mall. The rally will include speeches from representatives of various atheist, free thought, secular humanist, and other related national, regional, and local organizations, including apparently some Satanists. We did that story a few weeks back. Satanists want to get in on this. Your group, if your group hasn't already gotten in contact with American Atheists, they're organizing this thing. Please get in touch and join in. For more information, plus an endorsement page that you can sign, the website is www.godlessamericans.org. Non-Prophets CDs.
By the way, the normal chat is working again.
Oh, the normal chat is working
Yay.
again, and that would be.
I'm now in both.
What do you do when you when you hit the chat link and you want to go to the standard chat room? What choice is that, or is that automatic?
There's 2 chat rooms that they give you the option.
Oh.
One
So
of them
then they're
is
both
on
working now.
MSN.com and requires you to download some software.
Oh, I see. All right, but that's all up and running. Good, great. Ashley, what is the status on the CDs now? Did I hear you were having some technical problems?
Yes, I was. For several weeks there, I couldn't really get a decent image burned. It finally happened, though. So, starting tomorrow, I will have good CDs. I had the first 1 and 2 burnt this morning, so
great.
Should have them tomorrow.
Ashley is the guy who compiles our episodes onto CDs along with the audio track from episodes of the Atheist Experience, the public access TV show.
Yes.
On CDs, and each CD gives you a month's worth of audio from both shows in QuickTime and MP3, plus extra surprises. They're $5 each, and your email address is atheist@mac.com?
Yes, it is.
Cool. And we got that. All right, now, Mary.
Yes.
What's Superman been up to?
Oh, my goodness. Well, some of you may have already heard.
Think he can rescue us from these jungles?
I wish. Oh, look at that bird.
It's not
Where?
a bird.
It looks like,
It's a plane.
It's a plane. It's
Superman!
And a toucan, too. Well, yeah, Christopher Reeve,
Yeah.
for those of you who haven't maybe heard this yet, he was very critical on Tuesday of the Catholic Church as well as U.S. President Bush.
Yes, he was.
And good for him. He, of course, found fame as Superman and told Britain's Guardian newspaper on Tuesday that the Bush administration had caved in on the issue of embryonic stem cell research after the Catholic Church expressed opposition to cloning.
Right. The reason why Christopher Reeve cares, for anybody listening who's been living under a rock for the past 15 years.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve fell off a horse and is
7 years
paralyzed.
ago.
7 years.
7 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah. It's hard to believe it's been 7 years.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
He was also interviewed this week on Barbara Walters, and I didn't see that interview. Tim caught a few little bits of it, but and he was telling me about it. But I'd like to share this quote that he told The Guardian. He said, "If we'd had full government support, full government funding for aggressive research using embryonic stem cells from the moment they were first isolated at the University of Wisconsin in the winter of 1998, I don't think it unreasonable to speculate that we might be in human trials by now." So.
Yeah.
98 to now?
Yeah.
Human trials? Yeah.
Maybe.
That sounds a little pushy.
Well,
But, you know, if you're after it, you're out and aggressively trying to get a cure, it's possible.
Sure, and think about how far he has already come. I mean,
Right.
apparently he's now got some feeling in his body,
Yeah.
you know, from the nerves that have, I guess, naturally repaired themselves, you know,
Right.
somewhat during the course of the last 7 years. But tell us about the apology, Jeff, that you heard.
He has now issued an apology, which is it's a very mildly worded apology, meaning he does not abase himself in front of the Pope or anything, but he has gone back on the record and said, well, it's not just the Catholic Church that has stood in the way of this research. Other churches have too, and so it was wrong of him to pick on the Catholics specifically. But at the same time, he doesn't hide the fact that one of probably the single largest religion standing in the way of this research and influencing the White House is the Catholic Church, and he makes no secret of his objection to the idea that churches should be able to influence federal policy at all.
Right.
So, I thought it was... I really wish I could read some of the exchanges that went back and forth behind the scenes to make Christopher Reeve feel like he had to go back on the record and make a special apology to the Pope.
Well, I know. I do too. And, well, get this. He has round-the-clock medical care, of course. It costs him $882,000 a year for this medical care.
Yeah.
And he said once that he wanted to be on his feet by the time he was 50.
Right, he just had his 50th birthday.
Yeah. Which is, at the time this article came out, it was 8 days away, but I'm assuming he's already had that birthday.
Yeah.
So.
There was a commercial a couple years ago. They showed Christopher Reeve standing up. I forgot what it was for some research or for
it was an effect.
Yeah, it was an effect. But they had him in some kind of mechanical garb that enabled him to stand up.
Was this like a computer-generated thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
They had Christopher Reeve and did some manipulation and had him standing up. But I have no idea why it's relevant and why I thought of it, but okay.
Yeah. Well.
I mean, we're talking about the whole issue now of, like, freedom of speech, right? I mean, it's one thing even to say you've got freedom of speech, and quite another thing to have it in practice, even if the law says you can have it, when pressure groups will get on your case and make you issue retractions of things that you say that may even be accurate, as in the case of Christopher Reeve, right? I mean, he didn't say anything that was false.
No.
The Catholic Church and other churches have, in fact, hindered this kind of research.
Right.
Yes, it's absolutely true.
And there's nothing defamatory about that. That's the truth.
Yeah,
they have hindered it, and they defend themselves for doing it.
And so what they ought to be doing is ought to be defending themselves, not attacking him and pressuring him to make an apology.
I know.
That's what I'm sensing here.
Yeah.
But in order to have free speech, you've got to actually care about having free speech, don't you, Vic?
Yeah. And apparently about 49% of the people who answered a survey from the First Amendment Center and the American Journalism Review think that we're just a little too free.
What?
Yes, we're too free.
What are they talking about?
49% said that the First Amendment gives us too much freedom, which was up from 39% last year and 22% in the year 2000. Increasingly, more people are thinking that we really are too free.
But what do they mean by that?
They ask a series of questions that ask how your opinion is on the First Amendment. And first off, one of the first questions on there was, can you name any specific rights guaranteed by the First Amendment? And the other than the freedom of speech, which was at 58%, which is I think is kind of low. It should have been 100%.
Yeah.
However, the rest of the categories like freedom of the press, freedom of religion, freedom to petition, and the right to assembly were all in the teens.
Ew.
All in the teens. The right to petition was 2%. 2% of the people surveyed could identify that the right to petition was in the First Amendment.
But they think it makes us too free? What rights specifically do we have now that they know about by virtue of the First Amendment that they think we should not have?
The newspapers.
What?
They don't like the newspapers. 40% said that newspapers should not be allowed to freely criticize the U.S. military strategy and performance.
Whoa.
4 in 10 said that they would limit the academic freedom of professors to bar criticism of government military policies. Notice how this is centering on the military. Freedom of speech, as long as I can say whatever I want and be American enough not to criticize the government, because the government is always right.
Good grief.
Yeah. And
what are they afraid of? That's what I want to know.
They're afraid of Muslims.
Are they afraid that Saddam Hussein is like sitting there with a subscription to New York Times, and the Times does an editorial criticizing the U.S. military, and Saddam Hussein has a big guffaw?
Yeah.
Oh my God!
CNN.
What are they afraid of?
Well, listen to this one. More than 4 in 10 said that the government should have greater power to monitor the activities of Muslims living in the United States than it does other religious groups.
Oh.
What was the percentage?
So that what they
22%.
think is that. Oh, I see.
Yeah, they think that.
Did they even list freedom of religion under the things that they recognized as being part of
freedom
the
of religion got 18% of people actually recognizing it.
18% of people thought we had it at all.
Yeah.
But see, now this is what I don't understand. If their real objection was well, we should have freedom of religion, but not for non-Christians.
Not for them,
right?
Essentially, that's what it is.
Then how would that explain 49% of the people thinking that it's the First Amendment that makes us too free, right? They'd have to know that freedom of religion extended to Muslims so that they could be upset about it. But they don't even know that that's part of it, except for 18% of them.
Where again can people go to see these numbers?
Well, I got this one off of, where's the site?
There it is.
Which numbers are those?
It's the American Journal Review. This was www.ajr.org/article_article. You should find it there.
Okay.
Wow.
Astounding.
Yeah. Oh, here's another good one. Where was that map?
I mean, did these statistics say who these nitwits are?
No, they were a
break it
random
down by,
sampling of Americans.
People out in Iowa.
Yeah,
I want to see correlations.
Where they
I want
got-
to know if these are right-wing dickwads or what they are.
The demographics of their survey results would be interesting to know. But one of the questions: do you agree or disagree to the following statements? Government officials should be allowed to post the Ten Commandments inside government buildings. 52% strongly agree, whereas only 6% strongly disagree. That's the press. We don't like the press, and we don't like people prying into our lives because apparently privacy is very important to people.
Really?
But we're willing
privacy
to give up.
is very important to people, is it?
Yes.
Do you think that's true?
No.
Then explain why you don't.
No. I think privacy is important. Your privacy is important, but you want to know what the neighbors are doing. I think that's a mentality that goes a long way around.
Do you think the privacy of people that need to be involved in government programs to help them with their homelessness or other personal problems, do you think that their privacy is important?
There was one statistic that asked whether school officials' employment, including salary records, should be public.
Yeah, and what they say?
And they were pretty much in favor of. If I remember right, they were in favor of that.
Well, here's what I'm getting at.
My paper, so
here's what I'm getting at. At the same time, we got 49% of Americans thinking we're too free. We got other Americans thinking that what we really need to do is we need to direct some federal funds toward efforts to indoctrinate people into specific religious beliefs.
We do have that as well.
The Federal CARE Act, I love how they name these things.
Yeah.
Right? They'd never call it the, Taking Away Your Religious Freedom Act.
The Meddling Act.
Right, the Meddling Act, the Busybody Act, right, the Indoctrination Act, the Mind Control Act. They'd never call it any of those things. Filed as the Senate companion to the faith-based initiative passed by the House this year, is moving in the Senate this week after being stalled by controversy and opposition for almost a year. While the CARE Act does not include the controversial charitable choice provisions from the House version, it does contain several provisions that raise religious liberty concerns. Urge your senator to oppose the CARE Act by calling the Capitol switchboard today, 1-800-648-3516, and ask to be connected to your senator's office.
We can do that from the jungle, too.
Can we?
Yeah.
Maybe it's a long-distance call.
Not 1-800.
It's an 800.
Oh,
it's an 800 number. We can call. Get on the phone right there.
Okay.
You got your cell phone with you, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now here's the things you need to know though before you start talking to these people, because you don't want to come off as like some Nimrod who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. The CARE Act includes provisions labeled equal treatment requirements, but these provisions actually set up special treatment for religious organizations. The CARE Act allows for unlimited religious icons, scripture, and symbolism in areas where government-funded social services are delivered. While the courts currently may allow some religious icons in those areas, the CARE Act takes the extraordinary step of creating a right to display unlimited amounts of religious symbols, scripture, and icons in service delivery areas.
Which, of course, would be an open invitation for all the churches to dump their literature in mass on everywhere that there are some social services going on.
Give us that number again.
1-800-648-3516. 3516. That is the Capitol switchboard. You ask for your senator, and they will hook you up.
648 what?
3516. This provision effectively undermines the power of state and local governments to protect the religious freedom of beneficiaries. The CARE Act provides organizations that receive government grants an exemption from diversity requirements. Some government grant programs require grantee organizations to maintain a diverse board that reflects the community. The CARE Act would exempt religious organizations from these requirements. So, if you want to have, for example, your Baptist organization in Harlem to tend to the needs of poor black people, you can have a board of directors on that organization that's all rich white guys. Because, of course, they're the ones who would understand the best what those people need.
But why would they care is another question.
But that's the point, right? They do not have to include voices representative of the community they are serving when they provide these things, right?
Yeah.
I'll tell you why they care. They care because then they can wave around their claim that they're helping people.
Without the people actually being able to voice any opposition.
Right.
You know, that pesky thing of them getting in the way.
Right.
Yeah.
The CARE Act contains no protections for the religious liberty of beneficiaries of social service programs. While the CARE Act provides for new special exemptions for religious groups, it contains no provisions to protect the religious liberty rights of people seeking help. The CARE Act authorizes new lawsuits that religious groups can bring against state and local governments to assert its rights under the bill, but provides no recourse for beneficiaries who believe that government-funded religious organizations are engaging in improper proselytization or other conversion activities or are otherwise violating a person's religious liberty rights.
Well, you know that the only improper proselytization is the one that doesn't come from that particular Christian church which is trying to impose this stuff.
No. And improper ones are all of them when there's government money paying the bill.
Right.
So what's the upshot of this CARE right now?
Well, the upshot is they're going to it's moving forward in the Senate, and if you want your senators to understand that you've got objections to it, the thing to do is call that number 1-800-648-3516. Ask for your senator's office. They will hook you up. You tell them what you think. There's some other people telling some people what they think, aren't there, Mary?
There are indeed.
There are some like hot babes from around the world.
Yeah,
telling Nigeria what they think.
Let's go over to Nigeria.
Yeah.
And talk about Miss World pageant.
There?
I think
Nigeria is probably
they're about the same point on the equator.
Okay. Are they?
I think so.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Did anybody bring the canteens?
Oh, they're in the backpack underneath the speakers.
Or not?
No, not yet. Otherwise, if it was, there'd be no point in calling, would there? It hasn't passed yet. That's why you need to call now.
Oh, no.
Well, I want some trail mix, too. What do we do?
Yeah, okay.
What do we do with that?
All right.
Okay, well,
hang on, I'll find it.
Okay, thank you. All right,
careful, I saw some large insects crawling into that bag.
Oh, boy. Well, they'll be crunchy, too.
Would that be why the trail mix is moving?
That's not an almond.
Yeah. It has wings. But, okay.
Yes, please. I think our listeners have got enough of that imagery.
I think so, too. Yeah, the organizers of the Miss World pageant. This is in Lagos, Nigeria. This is due to be held later this year.
In Nigeria?
Yes, in Nigeria. They're asking the Nigerian government for assurances on Thursday that the death sentence of a single mother condemned to stoning will not be carried out. And again, we reported on this story a few months ago. The woman is being stoned for having extramarital sex, but they're waiting to carry out the sentence until after her baby is born.
Yeah, and that's special.
Yeah, isn't that nice? Basically, pageant organizers have come under fire from beauty queens on one side who are threatening to boycott in protest of the stoning sentence, and Nigeria's Muslim groups on the other who are opposed to an event they see as immoral being held in the midst of sub-Saharan Africa's largest Muslim population. So this is more than just...
Well, maybe they can replace the swimsuit competition with a burqa competition.
Do you think that would appease them?
I don't know.
Miss World President Julia Morley canceled an inspection tour in eastern Nigeria to meet with government ministers on the case of Amina Lawal. This is the woman who is set to be stoned to death.
Right.
The international outcry...
You're saying she's going to be stoned to death, so you're saying she is not really in the running for Miss Nigeria.
No, not at this time.
Oh gosh.
Do you think they'll start that that infidelity as a
Yeah, I think they should add petitions in this world, right? Yeah. In fact, let's go ahead and do swimsuit, burqa, and infidelity, right? Talent.
Don't forget fornication.
Yeah.
Fornication.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because, some of them are not married.
Aren't they all not married? I think you have to be unmarried.
I think you have to be unmarried.
Yeah, fornication.
Unmarried
because it's Miss World.
Unless it's a married man, then it goes back to being adultery again.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
It is.
I'm not, while I appreciate that the Miss World pageant wants to get involved in this event, it's hard to take them seriously when we're talking about,
swimsuit competition.
Yeah, they're about swimsuit competitions and
hair and makeup
and stuff.
Well, but they're women, though. I think that's the real point here.
Yeah, and
the fact that this pageant is being held in this country makes it relevant.
They're parading up and down a stage like meat.
So.
And some of them are pretty good looking meat too.
So.
Well, actually,
I mean, there is a lot of criticism of things like beauty pageants demeaning women.
Sure.
And I think they do.
Well, I would disagree.
As much as I think Mr. Universe pageants demean men.
Even Arnold?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it demeans all of us who aren't all big and bulky.
I think that's horrible. to say, well, we're going to have a big contest here for whoever happened to, A, get good genes, and B, put a lot of work into stuff that I pretty much have no particular respect for.
Okay.
But how
what about your opinion polls?
Yeah. I mean, if the Miss, what is this, Miss World? If the Miss World competitors were required to submit like a scientific paper on some topic, I would respect that.
I don't think that's a requirement.
If they actually had to learn like useful skills and actually accomplish anything, I'd say that would be fine. That'd be a valid reason for appreciating, oh, look, this one woman in a bikini is better than that woman in a bikini on account of she, wrote this great paper on, quantum singularities. that I could agree with.
Well, just because she wears a bikini doesn't mean that it's not possible that she hasn't written one of these papers. But
that's
let's
not the
face
competition,
it, that's not
is it?
the competition.
That's
no.
not the competition,
You're
right? I mean, if the woman next to her has slightly perkier breasts, but knows nothing about quantum physics, she could well win.
Right.
That's not right.
It's a beauty contest, which again I have qualms about, but.
And yet those are the people who are now making a big stink about the stoning. Now, sure, Miss World nowhere near as egregious
stoning.
Abuse of women as stoning them is.
Right. And
still, it's a little difficult to take them seriously.
Well, at least it gets it publicity. I will say that.
Yes, it certainly does.
And actually, I want to revise.
And they've had plenty now on our show, so let's move on.
Okay, well, I want to make one correction to what I just said. Lawal's sentence is scheduled to be carried out in 2004 after she finishes weaning her baby.
Oh,
so her baby has been born.
Okay.
Several governments and human rights groups around the world have urged President Olusegun Obasanjo to intercede. She's the second Nigerian woman to be condemned to death for having sex out of wedlock under Islamic law. The first woman had her sentence overturned in March on her first appeal.
Okay, then. Well, I hope that happens again.
Yeah.
Phew, man. Crazy, crazy stuff happening in the world, but maybe not as crazy as that guy going around thinking God told him to scare people with anthrax threats. What do you say, Vic? You got that one?
Wacky.
Right here somewhere. Anthrax. There we go.
You had a mosquito on you.
Thank you.
Okay.
You know, they bit me so much now I've become immune to the feeling. I don't even know. I'm probably losing about a pint of blood over here.
I'm losing a pint of sweat.
Well, Ohio, an anti-abortionist, a crusader convicted in Ohio this year of firearms and car theft charges, was indicted on Thursday in Pennsylvania for allegedly sending hundreds of hoax anthrax letters to U.S. abortion clinics. Clayton Lee Wagner.
Oh.
Clayton Wagner.
Yeah, named a 79-count indictment. Handed up by a federal grand jury charging him with violating the law guaranteeing the access to clinic entrances, threatening the use of a weapon of mass destruction, there's that catchword, interfering with commerce, mailing threatening communications, and threatening interstate communications.
Wow.
U.S. Attorney Patrick Meehan said Wagner made threats to kill and injure that were specific and public. He promised to deliver anthrax and other bioweapons through the mail, and they take those threats seriously. But when he defended himself, he's a jailbreak fugitive on the FBI's most wanted list. Was arrested in Cincinnati last December with a number of guns and a stolen car. He defended himself in the Cincinnati trial and admitted to all the charges against him, but tried to convince the jury that he was justified because he was a divine mission to end abortions. God has anointed me, he said to the tape in a taped interview with law officers, which he played in the court as part of his defense. Here's a tape of you basically confessing that you're an idiot, or at least maybe disturbed.
Is he representing himself?
But he defended himself on the tape.
Is that his defense? Insanity.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's... He's not using that as his defense. He says he's on a divine mission from God to end abortion, and that includes stealing cars, having lots of guns, and sending dummy anthrax letters to abortion clinics. Oh, boy.
The letters aren't the only dummies.
Yeah, he was a big dummy. Now he's in jail. Police said he was suspected of mailing bogus anthrax threats to some 280 clinics across the United States.
Do you think he really believes that?
I don't know.
Do you think he really believes he's on a mission from God, or do you think maybe he's just playing a insanity? Aiming for an insanity plea.
There's the catch. If you have this religion, it's offering him a way out. I mean, he may have a serious issue or may be completely deluded. I personally will give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he's completely deluded.
I say I'd give him the benefit of the doubt and agree that he believes whatever he claims to believe.
Well, same thing.
No, it's not. No, it's not, because in the one case, we're assuming he's saying this stuff because he's nuts.
Yeah.
And then he needs to be treated specially because he's nuts. In the other case, we're saying, fine, you really believe you're on a mission from God.
No, probably not. It's probably just a tactic to get out of... He got caught. He's already broken out of jail once. But even if he does believe this, I mean, that's just completely...
If he does believe it, it just makes my point, which is that religion is a way of getting a convenient excuse for whatever atrocity you feel like committing. Right? Yeah. I mean, that's his justification. He's saying, It's not just saying, well, God told me to. Because sure, any rational court would say, where is this God guy? Clearly he's a co-conspirator. Let's bring him in. Mm-hmm. Right? But they're not saying that.
No, because they're not believing that this guy...
This guy is saying this because he thinks that his God is an entity who creates the rules of right and wrong, decides what is okay and what is not okay, and told him that what he did was okay.
So he's on the same divine mission as that guy in that movie we saw. What was it called?
Frailty, yeah.
He's on the same divine mission, except now he's after abortion clinics instead of all the demons that he sees.
Right. Oh, exactly. Exactly.
So is he going to claim that actually God spoke to him, or he has some message from God telling him to do this?
And hey, who told Osama bin Laden that the Americans were evil and needed to be destroyed? That would be Allah, right?
I think he told himself that.
Well, yeah, I think this guy told himself. I think this guy probably is using this religion as a defense because it's convenient.
They were all looking around for excuses to do what they felt like doing. And so they latched on to this stupid-ass superstitious beliefs in a big space entity that decides what's right and what's wrong. And, since God decides what's right and what's wrong, God can tell me it's okay to do this horrendous thing.
Yep. Case in point, Muhammad Atta, that when they found his suicide note, he had said that God, wanted him to live in paradise by destroying the infidels.
Yep.
Well, apparently the Islamic religion doesn't have as strong a taboo against suicide as the Christian religion does. That may be a good thing.
Yeah, but this guy's not
or a bad thing.
This guy we're doing the story
which angle
on.
you're looking at it.
All right, this Wagner guy didn't commit suicide. Right?
No.
He terrified a bunch of people with fake anthrax threats, and he thinks he
Right.
should be let off the hook because God told him it was okay.
God anointed him.
If he didn't think, now answer me this, if he did not think that God thought it was okay, would he have done it?
Probably.
Assuming he believes in God.
Oh, assuming he believes in God.
If he
God
really believes in God,
think it was okay,
and he did not think God thought that it was okay for him to make these anthrax threats,
he wouldn't have done it.
then he wouldn't have done it.
Right.
So, either he doesn't believe in God, or he does, but belief in God includes this valve, right, this safety valve for if you want to do commit atrocities anyway, you just convince yourself, well, God said this is okay, and then you go ahead and do it.
By the way, did you mention how many clinics were targeted?
280.
Okay.
280.
Yeah, there was.
So I can kind of understand. I can kind of understand why Christians are so eager to assume that anybody that does anything bad is an atheist. Because, like you said, if this Wagner guy did believe in his God and didn't think that his God would make that behavior okay, then he wouldn't have done it.
Right.
So when Christians look at other Christians that are committing atrocities, they assume, well,
He's lost his
God, God didn't tell me that was okay, so this guy must not believe in God.
Or he's been handed down something from a false prophet. He's not following the true word. There's a dozen and one excuses that they come up with.
And what they don't understand is every single one of those Christians, put under enough pressure, would be eager to latch on to the words of any prophet that told them it was okay for them to go out and do whatever horrible thing they were contemplating doing. Any one of them. And they'd all still believe in God.
You could probably find some particular quotation in the Bible that would justify it.
Sure.
In your mind.
Sure. Whereas, take us atheists, right?
Right.
Certain atheists can do bad things, right?
Yes.
We certainly can. But what we do not have is an excuse like, God says it's okay to do this now, to give us permission to set aside our natural reluctance,
quite the opposite.
our natural human reluctance to commit atrocities. Right?
Right. If your human reluctance to commit atrocities was to fail you, all the other atheists and rationalists would be quick to criticize you for it.
Well, there's that too.
You're not going to get away with it. You're not going to just waltz in there and everybody's going to excuse you.
Isn't it interesting that not all people who believe in a God would necessarily do something like this? I mean,
well, yeah.
And, why is that?
But the reason is that they aren't properly motivated. I got into an argument about this the other week on the cryonics email list, and some guy was basically asserted that, Methodists would never fly airplanes into tall buildings. No. Bullshit. You take some Methodists and let them stew in Afghanistan for about 20 years, right? Let them live like that and get it into their heads that this big nation across the sea is why they're suffering so much. And you betcha they would get a Methodist prophet who would arise and say, God says it's okay for us to lash out against these bad guys that we don't like. Right. However we can do it.
They are not God's chosen people.
Of course they would.
They are directly from Satan.
Well, by that rationale, wouldn't an atheist then probably do the same thing?
An atheist can do horrible things, but an atheist cannot excuse their horrible behavior by saying, God says it's okay.
Right.
That the rules come from God, and therefore, if God supports their actions, then their actions were right, no matter what the actions were. This gets into that whole situational ethics thing, right? You guys know about this? Fundamentalists are always going off about situational ethics. How horrible it is that, oh gosh, you might...
Relativism.
Yeah, there you go.
They say.
Right. Moral relativism, they call it. Oh, it's so horrible, you don't have some absolute standard. Bullshit. these fundamentalists don't have an absolute standard. They have an absolute lawgiver, but that lawgiver changes his mind. It's all over the stories of the Bible, right? Mm-hmm. God changes his mind. So in one chapter he says, "Thou shalt not kill." Next chapter he's drowning all the world's population except for Moses and his pals. Right? I mean, they pretend like they have absolute rules. They don't have absolute rules. What they have is an absolute ruler, not the same thing.
Yeah, worse yet, they say he works in mysterious ways. We can't hope to understand why things are moral, and so anything he says that sounds patently evil,
right, is still good.
Can be justified.
Right, exactly. Whereas with atheism, you don't automatically get some kind of magical understanding of right and wrong, right? What you do is you have to learn, you have to pay attention to what's actually going on, and you have to make decisions as best you can, and that's difficult and often painful. I think the real issue here is that people who want to believe that there's absolute right and wrong want to avoid having to deal with the difficulty and painfulness of making tough decisions. Mm-hmm. They don't want to make tough decisions. They want to be ordered around. They want to be told what to do so that whatever it is they do, they can say, well,
God told me to.
God told me to. It's not my fault.
Right.
I don't have to worry about whether it's right or not. God told me to, therefore it's right.
Mm-hmm.
And I've said this on the... I'm sorry, go ahead, man.
Statistics will back that up. When 49% of the people polled are saying that we have too much freedom.
Ah!
Yeah.
Too much freedom.
I had this Nimrod.
It was bad.
I had this idiot on the Chronics list, argue with me that, we've never come up with a better way of, it may not be that you need religion to justify morality, but we've never come up with a better system than that. It's like, how would you know? You're the guy who, as soon as I start suggesting on this mailing list that there might be a better way to derive your morals and ethics than religion, you immediately attack me. How would you know if we had a better way? Mm-hmm. Have you tried it? Right? Mm-hmm. Does your religious culture, your religious control organizations, do they try to test out other ways of doing things? No. What they do is, as soon as they see their power base challenged, their claim to be the arbiters of absolute right and wrong, as soon as they see that challenged, then they're all over that new idea and crush it as fast as they can.
Yep. And isn't it interesting that with this abortion issue, it always seems to be the people that are blocking abortion clinics are doing it in the name of God?
Yeah, their God told them that abortion was wrong. You can't do that. You're not allowed to make choices that my God has authority over.
I don't find that particularly ironic. I find it ironic that the people who are bombing abortion clinics do it for God.
Yeah.
Bombing or sitting out in the bushes.
If people want to protest something they don't like, I think they have every right to do that, don't they, Vic?
Yes, they.
But they don't care.
They don't care.
Yeah, 49% don't care.
No, there's that statistic on
a
protesting.
different one.
Oh, protesting.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, should you be allowed to protest? And I think there were restrictions. I got to find that one. I wasn't snappy with you when you were getting me into it. So
I'm trying to string these things together in some kind of rational order, and it's so hard when I got sweat dripping in my eyes and bugs swirling around me.
My papers are all wet and the ink is running. And
let me do... Oh, God, that's kind of off topic. But, no, I still want to stay on this situational ethics thing for a while. I'm kind of working on another game, and I don't think I've got it put together enough to do it here on the show. But you remember Hide the Bible, right?
Yeah.
It's my last fun atheist game. I've thought of another one. It's called the situational ethics game. It works like this, right? One person proposes an event that you observe, right? Like a man strikes a child, for example, right? And then they pick somebody else in the group that's playing the game, and that person has to come up with a situation that would make that okay, right? Under what circumstances would that be okay? Now, you can't violate physics, right? And you can't invoke supernatural entities whose existence we don't know about, right? It all has to be physically possible. But you come up with an explanation for why that's okay. Like, the man is striking the child's hand because the child is reaching for a hot stove, right?
Smack on the hand would be a lot less painful than that burn.
Right. So, and the point of this game is to show that you can't have non-situational ethics. If you don't know the facts of the situation that you're observing, you cannot make a moral judgment of that situation. And if you don't care what the circumstances are, then you're not moral in the first place. Then you're just applying these commandments and saying, no, that's always bad no matter what. You know what my favorite one is the whole thou shalt not kill thing, right? You know, you really try to pin Christians down on that. They'll say, oh, no, that really means thou shalt not murder. Mm-hmm. Well, what are they doing? They're applying situational ethics, right? The question then is not, did that man kill that man? Yeah. Right? Did that man kill that other man? Yes or no? That would be non-situational ethics.
Right.
The event was precisely that. This man's knife went into that man's heart. Bang, right? That would be non-situational ethics. But no, they're applying a situation. They're saying, well, if it was done in a way that we call it murder, then it was bad. But if it was done in a way that we don't call murder, like war, then it's not bad.
Right.
Or it could be self-defense.
Right, but they don't care.
Right.
They claim not to care about stuff like that. They claim that it's non-situational rules of behavior, commandments from the God that are always bad no matter what the situation is. That's why they attack situational ethics. Because with situational ethics, you get to look at the situation and there could be mitigating circumstances.
Right.
They're not allowed to invoke mitigating circumstances. Yet they will call one act of killing murder and one act of killing not murder, and doing that, separating things out that way, means they're looking at the situation.
So we can now call Christians situational ethicists.
They are. It's worse, and it's worse than that. I mean, at least with situational ethics, the situation is something where presumably it matters, right? It's relevant to who did the deed and what was happening to them and what their motives were and all blah 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 blah, right? In fact, it's worse than that for Christians because not only are their ethics supposedly not situational, simply commandments, this and this and this and this. And if that happened, then that man is guilty no matter what. No matter why, no matter when, no matter how, right? No matter where. But it's not just that. They got this God. They got this entity in the sky who commanded those things and changes his mind periodically. So they'll claim that they have absolute rules, but what they really have is an absolute ruler, and that guy, because he's an absolute ruler, doesn't have to pay any attention to his own damn laws, and he can change them anytime he feels like it. That's what being a king is. Yep. You get to say, well, I'm going to kill you because you murdered that man. Okay, God. And then the God goes and kills another man, and somebody says, well, you killed that man. Yes, but I'm God. Or man number 3 kills man number 4. And they say, God, man number 3 killed man number 4. And God says, but I said it was okay. Right?
As in the case...
How dare they attack the idea of situational ethics?
Yeah.
At least if you're honest about your situational ethics, then you can then you can examine the situation honestly.
Well, yeah.
But they lie. They have situational ethics. Their situation is, what did I think my God wanted me to do?
Yep.
Right?
It's very senseless.
Vic, I'm sorry, you've been sitting on a news story there for a while.
No, I'm sitting on just one more statistics.
Can we talk about horrible things Christians do then? Oh, what's your statistic?
People should be allowed to express unpopular ideas. Do you agree or disagree? Well, 67% of those polled strongly agree that you should be allowed to express unpopular ideas.
I want to know.
However, should people be allowed to say things that might be offensive to religious groups? Only 29% strongly agree with this.
Oh, good grief.
Sad.
And if you're, and it gets worse with racial groups. Should you be allowed to say things that might be offensive to racial groups? Now only 14% agree that you should be allowed to say these things. Now I have to say,
but see, remember this brings up that whole Eugene Kane thing, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
No atheist that wrote to him.
Fill the listeners on that. in on that.
Did we talk about this earlier?
Eugene Kane?
Not
We
earlier
talked about that
today.
before the show. Last week, we reported on Eugene Kane, who wrote in some newspaper somewhere
Milwaukee
in the Midwest.
Journal
Was it
Sentinel.
Milwaukee? Thank you. He wrote this thing basically saying how wonderful it is to imagine that all those people in the World Trade Center in their last few seconds got right with God, and so now they're all in Happy Land. And a whole bunch of atheists wrote back, including me.
Because he said there are no atheists in foxholes.
He said
that
no
was
atheists in
his
foxholes.
opening.
No, but he also presented the scenario of atheists becoming Christians.
Right.
As if it was some kind of wonderful special thing that all atheists should do.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people wrote to him and criticized him on that. And I did too, and I read my letter to him last week. Here is his response to me. Thanks for the message. The column was intended as a personal commentary on the spiritual nature of many 9/11 memorial services. In no way was it intended as an attack on atheists, although many seem to have taken it that way. Here is my response to his response, and then we'll get into more discussion. Thanks for replying. I don't doubt you when you say no insult was intended. You were merely repeating a common, albeit bigoted, attitude without realizing how insulting it was. I suspect that this is true of most instances of bigoted speech. The problem isn't usually that the speaker intends any insult. The problem is that the speaker is often not aware of the effects of the attitudes they are repeating. The solution, I think, is to actively intend not to insult by being sensitive to the feelings of those about whom you are speaking. I hope that the responses you've gotten have now made you aware of atheists as a minority with feelings and rights, and that you'll recognize and refrain from this sort of unthinking prejudice in future. Thanks again for the reply, and I wish you all the best. Now, to his credit, he published a follow-up article talking about the response he's gotten from atheists, mentioning that compared to other things he has spoken on where people wrote him critical responses, the atheists were for the most part educated and polite and well-reasoned, right? He posted some of their letters to him. He was very honest about the whole thing. He did, unfortunately, stop just shy of actually apologizing.
Yeah.
And that, I think, was very unfortunate. But he tried. Now, but this gets into the freedom of speech thing. The question was, should he have the freedom to insult atheists?
Yes.
Absolutely. He should have the freedom to insult atheists.
And we have the freedom to call him on it.
Exactly right.
Yep.
And this is how it's done.
It's called a dialogue.
Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. He did not intend to offend. It was just something he popped off the top of his head, never gave it a second thought. Now he knows. We've had this communication, and now he knows better. And through this comment and criticizing, we've made progress. And
that doesn't always happen, right?
No.
I mean, what's her name? Star Long on her talk show, when she insulted
Star
atheists.
Jones.
Star Jones. When she insulted atheists.
On The View.
Right.
ABC talk show.
She never apologized, never a retraction, never any comment about it other than to disparage atheists more by saying, oh, ha, ha, how uptight those atheists are. But, again, she had every right to say what she wanted, and the atheists that she insulted had every right to respond.
Yes. Why are people...
the issue.
Here's the issue, too, is why are people so afraid of having a dialogue in this country?
I'll tell you why.
That's what these statistics seem to reflect.
I think
nobody wants to have a discussion anymore.
I think the answer is the same answer to why people want 10 commandments instead of laws that establish principles, and then you go to trials and you find out how bad this act really was or whether they really did it, right? The reason that the idea of 10 commandments is so popular is then you don't have to think, right? Then everything is clear. Then there is no question, there is no argument. People don't like confrontation. They want everything spelled out for them and handed to them on a silver platter. They don't want to make tough decisions. They don't want to have to learn the circumstances around, this incident where one guy killed another guy so that they can make an informed decision about what to do to the killer, right? They don't want any of that. People can be incredibly lazy. And I think that we are in the middle of a phase in our culture where we've been coddling people's laziness. And a lot of the hostility we see to things like taking down the Ten Commandments is, are you suggesting that you're going to put me in a position where I have to actually think about what I think again?
Yeah.
Well, in the article that goes along with this bunch of statistics, so during the 5-year period which is conducted, the analyst at the University of Connecticut says we've seen a willingness by many to exchange a little liberty for a less interpersonal conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They'd rather just not have this. How many times have I had discussions with people who, when it gets a little into the religious area and you know there's some differences of opinion, we'll shut down altogether. I don't want to talk about this. It's not a conversation piece. We're not going to have this discussion.
Now, Mary?
I just wanted to interject here, too, that I think a lot of the reason maybe people don't want to think about it is ultimately people don't want to think about death. I think that's really what it comes down to, is people don't want to have to face their own mortality. And, you know, with good reason, in a sense.
I think that's
everybody
true.
wants...
How does that directly relate to the freedom of speech thing?
Well, because, again... it makes people uncomfortable if they have to deal with that as a large issue.
Religious conversations make people uncomfortable.
They do. And I think ultimately it's because people don't want to face...
Political conversations make people uncomfortable. Make people mad.
Yeah.
And politics isn't about death.
They're afraid of actually being found out as possibly being wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe their ideas aren't as good as they thought they were.
Right.
They don't want to talk about it and risk questioning it.
Yeah. Because
they don't talk.
Yeah,
Again,
it's a lot more
that
comfortable.
forces them to think. Now they have to rethink all their ideas.
Exactly.
It's this big, long process. And I got a football game I should rather be watching.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
Oh, well.
So that was the whole freedom of speech thing.
I got updates. We were talking about that last week's escapades in Florida.
Yeah.
And
right.
You had something about that,
Boy,
did you not?
Yes, I do.
Talk about things being wildly out of control. Go ahead,
I
guys.
tell you what.
Now,
I may have already... Yeah, thank you. I'd already deep-fixed that one in the jungle trash can.
Did?
Well, anyway...
Wait, here it is. I've got it.
Right. Go ahead.
Okay. The Collier County Sheriff's Office, this is in Florida, and again, we're just going to give a little synopsis, basically, of the Muslim medical students who were arrested because they were overheard at a Shoney's saying, allegedly, that they wanted to, do something heinous by this woman at the next
Florida.
table. And...
I'll bet it's a nice, cool 85 degrees out in
right
Florida
now.
right
balmy.
now.
It's balmy.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah, Vic, do you want to do that?
The comment was, do you think we have enough to bring it down? Another one of them then replied, if we don't have enough to bring it down, I have contacts that we can get enough to bring it down. Now, they're talking about a car. They need to transport this car to another location, and they want to know if they have enough time to get this car to a location. Now, this woman overheard this from them, and Eunice Stone
and this is what restaurant?
Shoney's in Georgia, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Georgia.
Sorry. Yeah, it happened in Georgia.
She said that hearing that, she knew that they were talking about blowing up a building. And now, in an article on the 13th from CNN, one of the detainees were quoted as saying that this woman was flat out lying, and she said she heard us saying we were going to blow something up. Now, on the 16th, they've had time to talk to a lawyer, and they've toned down their anger a bit. And their lawyer says that Butt, which is the names of the guys were a guy named Butt, he's 25, another guy named Amin Gaif, and Omar Chaudhry. Now, I can't pronounce Chaudhary, all right. Well, Butt says that he had no animosity, no anger towards Mrs. Stone. She may have heard a few key words that she misconstrued, and she was trying to be patriotic. I guess, for America, this is understandable. Well, understandable to who? I don't understand eavesdropping on half of somebody's conversation and having their entire lives and careers disrupted on what you thought they might have been saying, even if it is related to blowing up buildings.
Yeah. What kind of a Nimrod believes that terrorists would meet together at Shoney's over some chicken fried steak or some waffles, right? And sit there and talk about their terrorist activities. If they were that out in the open about it, do you think the airplanes with the terrorists on them would ever have gotten off the ground? No. The reason they're able to do this stuff is because they're secretive.
Yes, and they're very good at it. They don't
What kind of an idiot thinks that they're going to catch some terrorists talking about some serious terrorist activities at Shoney's?
In Marietta, Georgia.
Yeah, that's just bizarre. But paranoia.
Andy.
I want to add something to that. Also, the lady claimed that they were talking in Arabic. So, but two of them didn't even speak Arabic.
All right, she apparently
she speaks Arabic?
No, she just heard them speaking Arabic.
She saw these guys who looked like Middle Easterners and assumed. That's where she made her first mistake.
Yeah.
And
they look Eastern.
They're
must
speaking
be
Arabic.
It sounds like Arabic. They must be plotting something.
I deal with Middle Easterners all the time. I'm in the apartment industry. They live in our apartments. All right. Most of them speak English very well, but they speak it with an accent or something that sometimes you have to actually listen kind of careful. If she heard them speaking, they could have been speaking English, and if they had any kind of an accent at all, apparently she only heard portions of their conversation anyway.
I want to know why she thought that they would be talking openly about buying a building in English if they had been speaking Arabic.
Right, if they could speak
Arabic.
Arabic.
If they're speaking Arabic.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
Now, after they left the restaurant and she called the police, then something else happened.
Yeah, sorry, this restaurant, too, I want to amend something I just said, is in Calhoun, Georgia.
Calhoun, Georgia.
Not Marietta.
So
okay.
If you're Middle Easterner, don't go to Calhoun, Georgia and eat at Shoney's, okay? If you do, don't talk.
I think pretty much in general don't eat at Shoney's.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, well,
after...
the breakfast bar was pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, there used to be one
Can
just
we go
right down
up
the
for
street.
pancakes or waffles or something after the show?
We ought to.
What is the capital of wherever we are?
Georgia?
No. We're in Costa Rica. What's the capital of Costa Rica? Do we know that?
I told you we needed to get the
Yeah. So we flew down to Costa Rica and had ourselves like airlifted into the middle of the jungle. Do we even know which way is north?
No.
I don't think so.
I forgot the
shit.
compass. I forgot to pack the compass. I forgot to pack the travel guide. We forgot to pack... Oh, never mind.
But at least we brought all the audio equipment and our notes.
Yeah.
And
Good grief.
we have any
And
off
our
left?
the mosquitoes, I think, ate it.
Ate the last
Oh,
They took
yeah, they're
it
over in the
away.
trees going...
Yeah.
Yeah, baby!
Okay, so if there is no new episode of the Non-Prophets next week, it will be because our battery equipment ran out and we didn't make it back to civilization.
Yeah.
Mary, something else happened to these guys after they left the Shoney's. What was that?
Indeed. They went to Alligator Alley. And that's
Right.
Florida.
The highway stretch in Florida.
Yeah, the highway stretch. Alligator Alley.
I've driven down that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good.
Didn't see a hide nor hair of an alligator.
No.
If I had seen the hair of an alligator, I would have known that something was wrong.
And you would have not gotten out of your car. So they went to Georgia.
Alligators
They went to
have
Florida.
no hair.
Hide nor hide.
All right, go ahead.
Well, we know what you mean. Alligator Alley was shut down for 17 hours.
17
because
hours.
of this.
While a little robot dug through their clothing.
Yep.
Right. All because of a stupid woman at Shoney's. But something else happened.
Something else happened, and the thing
Before
that
that.
happened is that
Before they got
they were pursued by police.
Yeah.
They allegedly ran a toll booth.
Yeah. Now what's up with that?
They didn't.
Did they?
No.
They didn't?
No.
So that was also false.
Right. The Collier County Sheriff's Office in Florida has voided the ticket given to the driver of one of the cars stopped on Alligator Alley, saying the toll keeper recalled taking the $1.50 from the man. So.
But where the hell did the idea that they ran a toll booth come from?
At first she said that they ran through.
The
and
same
that they didn't
toll
pay.
keeper.
Right, the same toll keeper.
whatever.
And the
Does she work
the
part-time
sheriff-
at Shoney's by any chance?
The Collier
Where are all
Sheriff...
these stupid people coming from?
I don't know.
Oh.
The Collier Sheriff said, quote, she was very nervous at the time. She became flustered and didn't recall. He said it was a Karl Marx tag on the front of the car that caught her
Reminds
attention.
her of the Crucible, where little girls just show up and say,
Yes, it's a witch hunt. Yes, it's a witch hunt.
Yeah, it is.
I saw her with the devil.
I know, they were dancing on the graves. Yeah.
So it wasn't true that they were talking about terrorism.
No.
It wasn't true that they were speaking in Arabic.
No.
It wasn't true that they ran through a toll booth.
No.
Only thing that was true is that they've been asked not to have their residency in the hospital that they were supposed to have the residency over.
Horrible.
And so their careers are in limbo
horrible.
now.
Oh, good grief.
They didn't do anything.
No, they didn't do a damn thing. And Mrs. What's her damn name again?
Eunice.
Eunice. Where's her name? I had it right here. Eunice. Eunice. Are you ashamed of yourself, Eunice? You should be.
Tell me she was like, a 72-year-old silver-haired lady.
No, she's probably...
I have a
names
picture
her
of
children
her.
Eunice
Here's
anymore?
a picture of her. She's probably in her
she's probably in her
late 40s,
50s.
early 50s.
Oh, boy.
Man, who knows?
But anyway, not that that's relevant.
Eunice.
All right, let's go on to another story.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
That just really makes me angry that they...
It should make you angry.
That they are taking away their ability to make a living.
Well, the hospital that they were going to started receiving threats.
Career. Oh.
Let's follow this up with another story of somebody who didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a follow-up of last week's report on Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. This guy, Mr. Sibrel, who makes...
Oh, mosquito. Sorry.
Okay. Why do you even bother anymore? I mean, there's got to be like 15 of them on other various parts of your anatomy. I know they're all on mine. Buzz Aldrin, who was accosted by this guy that makes documentary films claiming to debunk the Apollo 11 moon landing, took a swipe at that guy. But Buzz Aldrin escaped criminal prosecution Friday for punching a conspiracy theorist who wanted him to swear on a Bible that he really did walk on the moon in 1969. Los Angeles County prosecutors declined to file a misdemeanor battery charge against the 72-year-old astronaut, who said he was defending himself and his stepdaughter when he clocked the 37-year-old Bart Winfred Sibrel outside of Beverly Hills Hotel on September 9. Sibrel, who makes TV documentaries and films debunking the Apollo 11 moon landing on July 20, 1969, videotaped the incident for a new film. He submitted the tape to Beverly Hills police and asked that assault charges be filed against Aldrin. Beverly Hills police said witnesses came forward during the investigation saying they saw Sibrel aggressively punk Aldrin with a Bible, and that Sibrel had lured Aldrin to the hotel under false pretenses so that he could interview the space hero. Deputy District Attorney Elizabeth Ratnoff said the videotape showed Sibrel following Aldrin on the street with a Bible and calling him a thief, liar, and coward.
Yeah, who else does that remind you of? Who would stoop to those kind of tactics to make this conspiracy theory
Alex
videos?
Jones?
Yes! He has done things like this before. He just goes and pressures people into... And I'm sure that the poke the Bible in the guy's face was aimed at getting him to reject doing that, which he did. And now you can go on there and say, look, he won't swear on the Bible that he actually did it. He must be lying.
Right, and check this out. When the ex-astronaut struck Sibrel once in the face with his fist, Sibrel turned to his camera crew and asked, "Did you get that?"
Of course he did.
Sounds like entrapment to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about whooping up a controversy.
Yep.
Phew. Well, what else have we got?
And for those who don't know, Alex Jones... Can I just interject about Alex Jones? Alex Jones is a local guy who has his own website and talk show, and he talks about a lot of...
He talks about the New World Order.
Yeah,
and
the New World
UN
Order and conspiracies.
taking over the world.
And
he's actually nationally known.
Is he now?
Yes.
Okay, I didn't realize that.
Mr. Producer Man?
Oh, I just wanted to fill you in. I'm in 2 chat rooms at once because having joined the God is a Lie chat room, I felt committed to both of them now.
Yeah.
But God is a Lie chat room isn't paying that much attention to us. They're arguing with a Mormon troll. And
oh, well, good luck.
That's amusing.
Have fun.
It's very entertaining.
Mormon
I
troll?
have to say. Yeah, coming in. Amanda's doing a great job.
Oh, is she?
Okay.
Let's lighten the mood a bit here and go with some funnier stories.
This one ought to tickle your funny.
What do you got?
Roll over your tickle box.
Yeah.
Check out a site called www.raptureindex.com. It's a kind of a Dow Jones for the apocalypse. It tracks what its compilers call end-time activities.
Wow.
And it is updated weekly, so those who worry about this sort of thing, they call themselves end-timers, can gauge how many years, days, or minutes they have to spare before the big whoosh.
Whoa there, Andy Tower!
The RI, or the Rapture Index, evaluates the customary biblical portents of doom like plague and famine and drought and so on, but also includes more idiosyncratic signs of when our earth will end, such as drug abuse, liberalism, and false prophets.
Well, at least we're not on their list, because we're non-prophets.
Yeah, and they mean false prophets, they mean the Pope, because a lot of the end-timers have a big dislike for him. They have, one of the other RI evaluations is the government by the beast, which they consider the UN or the EU, and the mark of the beast.
Not Bush?
No.
Wait a minute, can we stop for a moment? You don't happen to have an audio clip of that incident with Bush stumbling over his catchphrase?
I can get it up in a few minutes.
I don't know. Do you think that's worth it? That's just Bush bashing.
Yeah.
But gosh, that man is an idiot.
And this is absolutely proof positive that he's a complete idiot.
Over to the other computer, though.
Oh, never mind.
Oh, yeah.
Bush was doing this speech, and he wanted to say, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me." He couldn't get past "Fool me once." He lost track of what he was saying and blurted out some bullshit to try to wrap it up.
You know what? I know exactly what happened.
Yeah?
The little microphone went out about that time when they were feeding
when they were feeding.
He was stuck. He couldn't say it. So
fool me once.
But the Rapture Index.
Russell wants to play that. The Rapture Index.
So
right.
anything below an 85 on the RI is regarded as slow prophetic activity. That means relax, make the dental appointment, everything's okay. Above 110 is that we're into heavy prophetic activity, which means that you need to quit your dead-end job before it becomes a dead-end job. When the RI soars over 145, its compilers say you really ought to fasten your Bible belt. September 19th, the RI stood at 170. And that's way below the all-time high of 182, which happened shortly after the World Trade Center attack. But 170, we're in deep shit. And you know who's making money off of things like the Rapture Index?
Yes, that series of books.
Yes, the latest one being The Remnant, which went straight to number 1 in the New York Times list. And it was also, for the first time, had knocked somebody else off. Who was that? But anyway, it's number 1. The authors have made $33 million in 7 years on these books.
Wow.
That's a lot of money. If I'd have thought of it first, I would have milked these idiots for everything they were worth, because you could write this same story, the end times, read your Bible, do a little creative editing there, come up with your nice little story, and he's got 10 of them now.
Wow.
Or no, 9 of them. 9 of the last one released.
Okay, I gotta bring this up. Even though nobody else but me watched this show, Joss Whedon's new science fiction TV series Firefly premiered yesterday, Friday the 20th, right?
Yes.
And Joss Whedon is himself an atheist, yet on the crew of the spaceship in his series, there is a minister. And that guy didn't do much of anything except walk around and talk to people and be sort of a catalyst for dialogue in the series, except at the one point where he offered to pray for the captain. And the captain said, "You are welcome on my ship. God isn't."
Oh, wow.
Hey.
Yeah. So I'm eager to see where he's going with that.
Yeah.
Now, for those of you who are not up to speed on Christian wacky mythology, the rapture is this thing where supposedly all of the people who have been saved by God, their spirits are going to leave their bodies and head up to, in a minute, Russell. Their spirits are going to leave their bodies and go up to heaven, or else they're going to physically go up there. But the whole idea of out-of-body experience, he said, desperately trying to connect this up to our next story, has been exposed as nothing but neurology by some scientists in Switzerland.
Wow.
Swiss scientists think they have pinpointed the area of the brain where out-of-body experiences are triggered. While they used electrodes to stimulate the brain of a female epilepsy patient during treatment, the woman began describing feeling as though she had left her body and was floating above it. "I see myself lying in bed from above," the 43-year-old patient told Olaf Blank and his colleagues at the university hospitals of Geneva and Lausanne. Blank and his team produced the phenomena by stimulating an area of the right cortex of the brain called the angular gyrus, which is involved in spatial cognition. How they did it is reported in the journal Nature on Wednesday. It suggests that this experience is related to a specific part of the brain, Blank told Reuters. It seems to be that this area is important for brain processes that could be related to out-of-body experience. Scientists suspect that about 10% of people brought back from the brink of death experience something similar, but it has been difficult to prove that it actually occurs. It's suddenly gotten very quiet.
Yeah, there's some
dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs.
That's all.
No, that's me. Okay, so they were able to generate this sensation by stimulating part of the brain. So that I think is very interesting. What?
Dinosaurs pass.
Oh, good. They're going to leave us alone.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of...
we have mosquitoes again.
Speaking of crazy religious nonsense, here's a crazy religious guy making a fool of himself on television.
Hang on. Sorry, this is banging.
Okay. Go ahead. Play him. Our president. Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Oh, man. Come on.
What happened?
It's loading.
I left it off for too long and it's trying to reload now. Stupid thing.
Computers.
Did you guys hear about the political figure in Germany that compared him with Hitler?
To make sure Saddam Hussein is not playing games. This was a Security Council that passed a new resolution forcing him to disarm.
All right. So yeah, this the woman in the German government compared Bush's efforts to get war with Iraq to Adolf Hitler.
So the president tried to keep up the pressure.
There's an old saying in Tennessee, I know it's in Texas, probably in Tennessee, that says, "Fool me once, shame on you." If fool me, we can't get fooled again.
But
What a Nimrod.
I mean, completely lost.
I think you're right about the microphone.
Yeah, it
I think it fell out of his ear.
Because his handlers do not allow him to speak in public without being told what to say.
Right.
Yeah, because this is what happens. He will completely lose it.
And check out this link. Speaking of people with holes in their heads.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Canberra, New Zealand. The Weeping Virgin of Rockingham appears to have joined the long list of fakes that have plagued Christianity since splinters of the True Cross carved out a market in the Middle Ages. A scientific examination of the fiberglass statue, which has enthralled thousands of the faithful at the industrial suburb south of Perth since rose-scented tears appeared in March, has shown that the source is a secret cavity. Following a pattern on the,
As in a hole in the head.
Yeah, basically, this woman bought the statue as a souvenir in Thailand 8 years ago. For most of the time since, it has remained inert, but around Easter, the Virgin began weeping. Initially, Powell thought as a personal revelation to her, but later before a growing number of Catholics. Regarded by local church leaders as at least a remarkable phenomenon, and possibly a miracle, the statue attracted about 3,000 viewers when displayed at Our Lady of Lourdes last weekend. Convinced that the tears were genuine, Powell asked this week to allow Channel 7 to pass the statue to Doug Clark, a chemistry lecturer at Murdoch University. The test results were leaked to the university radio station before their planned broadcast last night. Murdoch Radio reported that Clark had found that a cavity in the Virgin's head had been filled with an oil similar to soybean oil and then coated with an enamel. When the enamel was broken, the oil seeped through as, quote, tears, unquote. So this woman bought this relic, Wait a minute. Bought this relic in Thailand, and apparently, unless she did it herself, whoever made the thing in Thailand rigged it so that eventually it would produce tears.
I can see how you could do that. You'd leave a substance that the oil would eventually seep through, and given it enough time, that's like a fuse.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
the oil is dissolving the enamel.
By the time you've given it away, you're completely disconnected from it.
Uh-huh.
And it just starts to have this miracle effect.
There's somebody in Thailand who's just going,
counting his money.
Will do.
And I can link that to another story.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Now, you know how it's, of course, irritating that we have these fakes and charlatans going around.
It's like 6 degrees of wacky religion going on.
Yeah.
They're all
in
connected.
India, they're doing something about it.
What?
Yes. This is awesome. I so wish that I could just take out the word India and put in United States, because I want this to be true in my country. Let's see, in tradition-bound India, if someone claims to be able to exorcise ghosts, levitate, or pull a gold chain out of thin air, it does not take long for him to become known as a god-man. While many god-men are not confidence tricksters, there are numerous so-called miracle babas who are just out to get rich by duping as many people as fast as they can. But Bombay police are cracking down on the charlatans and have called for the help of a group known as the All India Committee to eradicate superstition and blind faith.
Yes. Definitely want one of those in the United States.
And the police want to convince people that special power is more often than not sleight of hand or illusion. The campaign is meant to be an eye-opener. We want to put a complete stop to those posing as godmen. They are involved in outright cheating and violent acts. Joint Commissioner of Police for Crime in Bombay told Reuters. His name is S.S. Vagal.
Hey,
Vagal said the campaign...
Do y'all think this has anything to do with the Monkey Man sighting?
No, but there's a new thing going on in China, similar to the Monkey Man thing.
In China this time?
No. Monkey Man was not China. Monkey Man was India.
But you said China. But this...
When did I say China?
Just now.
Just now.
You said a new thing was going on in China.
Well, anyway, yeah.
Right, I misspoke. I meant India.
Okay.
A new thing is going on in India. The face scratcher is the latest thing. I get an email from the Rationalist International, which is an email bulletin sent out by the India Rationalist Association, and they chronicle the whole Monkey Man thing, and now the latest thing is the face scratcher, which is supposed to be this little coconut-sized UFO object that fires energy beams and makes your face scratched.
Yikes.
I'm serious. I couldn't make this up.
Well, I think that's a good reason to have this organization going on.
Vagal said the campaign, which includes public meetings and television programs, had begun to show results. Certainly we have been able to make an impact. Several people have voluntarily made complaints, and we have nabbed at least 25 of the fake godmen, he said. Oh, we so need an anti-charlatans police force here in the U.S. Oh, we so need that.
Yeah, but would you ask people if they have a right to be a charlatan?
I would say that as soon as you are engaging in fraud, you are out of the territory of personal freedom and into the territory of abusing your fellow citizens.
Yeah.
If the start of your act says this is for entertainment purposes only,
you're okay.
Then you're okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, yes.
Hey, do we have time for Ashley's wacky story?
We have time for Ashley's wacky story.
Yay.
Ashley, it's your turn, man.
Okay, got one quick story here, and I want to start this off with a little quiz. Who can tell which of these is a religion and which is not?
Okay.
Christianity.
Religion.
Very good. Atheism.
Not a religion.
Okay. Judaism.
Religion.
Veganism.
Not a religion.
Very good. Apparently, somebody.
Smart people.
Yeah,
we did cover a news story about this vegetarian group putting up billboards, taking lines from the Bible out of context in order to claim that Jesus promoted vegetarianism and was against the eating of meat.
I had seen that actually.
Okay. But that's actually still Christianity and not the religion.
What this story is apparently somebody, Gerald Friedman, was a computer programmer, and he applied for a job. And this job required him to get a mumps vaccine, which is apparently grown inside chicken embryos. He didn't want to do that for obvious reasons. And, well, because...
No, it's not obvious to me at all.
Because he's a vegan.
You can't even have that stuff injected in you?
Nope, you can't wear any animal products,
Karen,
eat anything.
Would you be injected by animal products? No?
Absolutely not.
She has managed to find her way through the jungle.
Vaccination.
So what?
Even if it's a mumps vaccination.
I'd rather not.
Even if it was something serious.
Like what?
Let's say that because we used some animal product that we were able to develop a vaccination that cured a serious illness, you name the illness, that you had.
I don't know, but I don't think that mumps is such an issue, and I don't think that did we tell the story yet?
We're starting it now.
Not completely. He apparently...
I was curious. I had never heard of vegans of any kind objecting to things because they're from animals other than foods. This is the first time I've heard that.
Oh, tons of vegans. I won't wear
I was aware that there was like an anti-fur movement, but I had no idea that was connected with veganism.
I won't wear fur. I won't wear leather.
Yeah, but is it because you're a vegan? But is it because you're a vegan?
Yes.
Because all right.
Well, not exactly. I mean, I'm a vegan because
you're not eating
I
the
don't
fur.
want to.
That's what I don't understand.
It's not about ingesting it in my body.
It isn't?
I'm a vegan because I don't want to do these horrible things to animals.
Okay.
Including raping them of their embryos and injecting these embryos with all kinds of nasty stuff and then reaping these embryos full of...
Oh, come on, it's not raping them.
Yeah, I mean, that's a strong language, using rape to talk about an embryo of a chicken.
Would you like to see some video clips?
A few selected video clips wouldn't make the case, really.
I would happily do icky things to animals in order to save the lives of human beings. Happily.
Well, apparently you don't agree with this person here. I no longer believe that because somebody is born as a frog or a human, that one of them gets preferential treatment.
Of course they do.
Friedman said, Friedman said, means the selfless dedication to something we believe is right. And he he tried to get out of doing the vaccine. It would be violating his religious belief that all animal species are equal and deserve equal treatment. Now, I don't know if I would call that a religion. I mean, it's a fine philosophy, and you can argue it that way.
You know what happens when all animal species are equal and deserve equal treatment? You know what that's like? That's like this jungle we're in right now, where every animal is killing and eating other animals willy-nilly, right? Well, many of them are killing and eating other animals. Some animals are getting killed. Some are eating the plants, right? There is nothing in nature that preserves some kind of arbitrary equality for all living things. There is no such thing. That's completely ridiculous.
Yes. I would agree with that. But again, going back to the story in general, though, killing just for the sake of killing, or when it's not necessary, is different.
I am completely against hunting. I think hunting is horrible.
Exactly.
Because there you are killing solely for the purpose of having fun doing it.
Just for the fun of doing it.
I think that's horrible. Eat it? I don't think that counts because we don't need to have. We don't need to go out with our personal firearms and kill animals and eat them ourselves. We can do that in a way where at least we don't have to be doing it, and I'm in favor of that. I'm also in favor if we get to the point where we don't have to kill any animals to get to get the food that we need, then we should stop. But I don't think we're there.
But how much, going back to the story, how much of a threat is mumps? Because I think along with this whole theme of personal freedom that you guys are talking about today, I think a person should be able to choose what is being put inside his body.
While I would agree with that in general, if the company is trying to protect itself to a certain extent, if this person does get sick while on the job and has to get time off of work, they're required to get insurance, all of that kind of extra stuff, that is going to hurt the company to a certain extent. Yes, it is.
We're not going to have time to discuss this whole story, though it's fascinating, and there are fair arguments on all sides. But I'm getting word from our producer that our batteries are running low. Soon the electric torchlight is going to go. We're going to be stuck here in where are we? Costa Rica, in the jungles of Costa Rica, with no idea how to get back. I don't know if we'll see you next week, but tune in anyway. I'm sure Reggie will be kind enough to run a repeat of an old episode if we're not back. Thank you for listening, and we will see you as soon as we can. Bye-bye.